All right, I think I'm live. We're going to do the Astro Pneumatic Impact Wrench giveaway. I believe there was only about 4 entries for this. So I'm just going to kind of go through the playlist here and write them down on my trusty notepad. And I'll kind of tell you which ones they are here. Let me go to my channel. I wanted to get this done sooner, but there's been a lot of plumbing issues. The main shut-off valve coming into the house went bonkers, started leaking. Had to have them come shut off the water from the street and then replace that, turn it back on. And then I decided to rip out this old shower downstairs and put in a laundry sink. And then, of course, when you get into this old piping that's been here since 1938, you touch it, every connection starts leaking. And it turns into like 100 million trips to Lowe's and Home Depot. So let me go pull up the list here. Come on, computer. So on the giveaway, the number 1 entry was from Oh How Happy Gardener. And I recommend you check his channel out. In fact, if you go into my Mittlighter Gardening playlist, you'll see where I visited his garden, and I believe I have a link to the video where he visited mine in there as well. So he's got a great channel, and I lost count of how many kids he has. It's a bunch. And he's got a greenhouse this year and growing his plants. It's a cool gardening channel. So he's number 1. So number 2 is going to be Rando Survivor. Rando Survivor is the man that first told me about Croyle. The stuff in the orange can, you saw me working on the tiller with it in that video. That stuff's amazing if you need to break loose rusty bolts. It's expensive, but it only takes a little bit. I bought 1 can. I actually saw it at a gun show and it was like $22. I think you can get it cheaper than that, but I bought it just because it was there and I wanted it, and Rando had told me about it, and it's like a couple years later, I'm still using that 1 can. So that's Rando Survivor. He's number 2. And Astral Auto Repairs is number 3. Astral's got a good channel. I like his simple approach to finding the problem and getting it fixed. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that goes out in the field like that with his own truck that he's built and his tools, and out there in the weather, whatever it takes, crawling under cars on jack stands and just getting the job done, and having happy customers. So Astral Auto Repairs, number 3. And then Bob Kenzie did a 1/4-inch ratchet review. It was a pretty cool video. I guess I'll tell you what these videos were about. Bob Kenzie had like 3 different 1/4-inch ratchets, and he was talking about like the ones that he liked the best. And it's a pretty cool video. I mean, I don't use 1/4-inch that much, so I don't really have any good 1/4-inch ratchets. I should probably get a really good one of these days. So he's number 4. And Oh How Happy Gardener did a video about his rigid drill. And I think rigid's great. And they have an impact out now, I saw on Justin Dow's channel, which makes it kind of interesting because if you fill out the card, you get a lifetime warranty on the tool and the battery. And then Rando Survivor did a tour of his little tool kit that he kind of keeps in his bag. It's like an EDC tool kit, and I guess for the some stuff in there for when he goes to the range and stuff too. Pretty cool. I have an old Kennedy toolbox. I throw a bunch of tools in for my car, and that's come in handy so many times when I just need a tool wherever I'm at. I put an air conditioner in my oldest son's apartment the other day, and luckily I had some tools on me then. And Astro, I think he did. I forget which. I know his wife did like a garden tool for spiking the grass, and I forget what he did. Let me pull it up here and see what it was. Oh, he did his flashlight. That's right. So he did like a streamlight flashlight, which is awesome. I have a few of the micro stream by Streamlights, and I really like those. And his is actually looks like a bore light, which is like what I would use to look down the bore of a gun with. But he uses it to get back into all the little tight places and see things back where they are, which is pretty cool. I might get one of those myself. But I love all the Streamlight lights that I've ever owned have just been exceptionally durable. I usually lose them before I'll ever break them. So that's what we got. We got Oh How Happy Gardener, Rando Survivor, Astro Auto Repairs, and Bob Kenzie. And they're 1, 2, 3, 4 down the side over here. And so we're going to go ahead and do the drawing. And the way I'm going to do this is because I don't know how to share my screen exactly on this software yet. I know I'm a network engineer. I don't know how to use my computer. And so I'm using this software, if you can see. And what we're going to do is set that from 1 to 4, and then we're going to generate a random number. So I'll go ahead and do that to 4. And then we'll scroll it up, and you see it's on 4 there. And then we're just going to hit this generate button. I want you guys to see this. It'll come into view here. Okay, hang on. Okay, and we're going to hit the generate. And let's see what the number. Maybe you can see that there. Let me get it closer, baby. There. It came up with number 3. And number 3 is Astro Auto Repairs. Congratulations, Astro. So you won the Astro Pneumatic Impact Wrench. So I will send you a private message. And also, if you reach out to me by private message or whatever, we can exchange some email addresses. I think I have your email address somewhere. It's in a couple of your videos, I think. But then we will get that shipped out to you. So congratulations. Hopefully you'll use that sucker and do a few reviews and see what you think. And I see like America Burning put me in the drawing. Damn, I got robbed. So hey, Gaston Mechanic, how's it going? So the entries for the video responses, America Burning actually ended like on Wednesday, or Tuesday the 16th. At 11:59 p.m. Just getting the drawing done now. I had this open for a month, but I'll have more giveaways, eventually as I reach different milestones on my channel. So, I'm sorry for those that didn't win, but hey, I only had 4 entrants, and I had this open for a month, and I did a couple update videos. I expected to have some more people, but I am happy that somebody's getting a cool Astro Pneumatic Impact Wrench. Okay, so one Odin 88. There's a delay on these comments. Says, how did I become so mechanically inclined? And yeah, I've just always been able to fix things. I don't know why. From a very young age, I mean, I can remember like preschool age, going and getting my dad's wrenches and fixing my bike when the training wheels fell off. I was just always fixing things. I was always tearing stuff apart. Very young age, like just toddler, barely walking around. I remember I took all the light bulbs off the Christmas tree when the babysitter wasn't watching me, and I organized them all by color. The thing was still plugged in. I've always fixed things, and I'm a network engineer for my day job because that's where you can make the most money fixing things. And so, that's just it. I guess the more you fix things, the better you kind of get at it too. And Gaston's asking, do I still have the Chrysler PT Cruiser? Yes, I do. And I put a head on that thing. And that thing had bent valves and bad valve guides, and 2 of the valve seats had to be reground. It was a mess, and it was full of carbon. And so I did find, when I did the valve cover, that the PCV valve was bad, and it was sucking a lot of oil back through that tube and burning it. My guess is the head got really carboned up, and the valve hung open, and just everything, stuttered for a minute. Those engines, the valves won't hit the piston, but they will hit each other. So I think that's what happened. Nightmare of a job putting a head on that. I'm glad I had my friend who's a mechanic help me do it. I couldn't have done it without him. It's a hard one. And did you just work it out as you go, or did you retain the information for the next time you fix things? I usually just kind of work things out as I go. I try to keep different tools and stuff on hand. I usually just figure it out. I don't know. I figure out how things work mechanically. So yeah, I guess I kind of figure it out as I go. But yeah, as you do it once or whatever, you get better at doing it. I think it's like anything else. Experience is what really counts. And then Gaston's asking IT tech, what virus scan software do you recommend for HP running IE10? I would say, I'm not really up on antivirus. It's more of a desktop area, and I'm more of a Cisco network engineer. Most of the virus scanners out there are just as good as any other. They all have about the same times to identify the viruses. The downside of in that type of a situation is you're detecting the virus once it's already on your computer. In the corporate world, enterprise networks, we detect the viruses hopefully before they ever get to the computer. When they're clicked on, they're blocked. When they try to come across the firewall, they get intercepted. So really the antivirus software is the last resort. At work where I am now, we use Secure Content Manager. My old job, we used Trend Micro. I liked it really well. Let's see. What I think of Kaspersky, I think Kaspersky and Norton are viruses. The way that they slow down your computer and make it not work, they pretty much are a virus. I like my antivirus to be lightweight so that it's not slowing the computer down and junking it up. The problem is they try to offer you like, oh, get this extra firewall and get this extra that and extra this, and what you really want is a good virus scanner. I think I would look at Trend Micro. They make their product, I think, called PC Cillin for the individual user. I used to use AVG a lot, but I haven't used it in a long time. So I don't know if it's gotten better or worse. Bitdefender, that's a good one to have, but it's not really an all-inclusive. It's more towards the malware, spyware side of things. But I've used Bitdefender a lot to clean up computers when they've been infected. But, I had my retail computer shop 2011, so that's when I was doing a whole lot of home computers and virus removals, and that's a long time ago in the computer world. So I am not up to date on the latest and greatest stuff to use. Hey, you can ask me anything. I'm not going to be picky. If anybody's got gardening questions, we can always talk about gardening. I got the tiller running today. I had to put a replace that diaphragm in it and just clean all the passages out in the carburetor. I did a little bit of tilling, but it's too wet to do it all. But it's running great. We can talk about why I think organic gardening's a myth. You know, that usually gets the trolls started. When you start saying there's no such thing as natural gardening. Work on car computer. Gastron mechanic says I work on car computer problems, but am ignorant of computer software. Everyone has their strengths. Mine is electric, drivability, and air conditioning. Well, you know, I guess as far as software, like on a car computer, that would be the firmware or the code that's built into it. But as far as like personal computer software, I mean, I'm not. I've used computers long enough now that I'm pretty good with Microsoft Office and Word and stuff like that. But what I really do most of the time is, I mean, I do anything that needs done. If it's broken at my job, I fix it. But my primary role these days is Cisco routing and switching and firewalls and VPN connections. So I focus a lot on like that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say that I am like a great desktop support person, especially anymore. I haven't really played in that arena like full time since Windows XP and a little bit of Windows 7, but like from Windows Vista on, I don't know. I use a MacBook, so I don't even. I mean, I have a Windows 7 computer in the other room too, but I'm a Mac guy now, just because they're simple and easy, and I can get my job done with them. Yeah, as far as electronics, I'm a ham radio operator, so I do play with electronic stuff all the time. I like to do little board level repair jobs too, like soldering, that kind of stuff. So I still do like all the laptop jack repairs for some of the local computer shops, just as side work. So I have a hot air rework station and stuff. Um, but I think like one of the books that taught me the most is a book that Radio Shack had out, and I don't know if they still have it because they're kind of in and out of business or whatever. But it's called Basic Communication Electronics, and it's an awesome book to teach you electronic theory and how things work, especially since it's focused on analog circuits for old time communication circuits. You learn a lot of analog things, and while cars are computer controlled and digital, the way the sensors work are in a very analog way. So you're going to learn all about, resistance and that kind of stuff. American Brain says, I usually grow potatoes and green beans and thinking about sitting this year out. Yeah, I was thinking about sitting this year out too. I did not plant any potatoes this year. I don't know if I'm going to. But I've just been so busy fixing everything that keeps breaking that getting the gardening done has been kind of. I'm not going to do the extra 30-foot row this year. I'm just doing my 20 by 4 foot bed. So, luckily, once I get it set up, it's pretty easy. I don't know if I'm going to get my automatic watering set up this year, but if that's set up, I don't really have to do much except give a quick inspection every day and put the weekly feed down once a week with mitt lighter, and the rest just kind of takes care of itself because I have to prune once a week too. Alcus Strad, I hope I'm saying that right, says, what was my first computer? So my very first personal computer was a Commodore 64, and that was when I was in middle school. And then when I went to high school, I done about everything I could do with the Commodore. That's where I learned assembly language. And so then we moved into the IBM PC world in high school. And I started out on DOS version 2.11 pre-Windows. I can remember loading up Windows 1.0 and playing with it. So I graduated high school in 1992. TRS-80, yeah, I've played with some TRS-80s. I found them and played with them when I was younger. I also had this was after I already had my Commodore 64. I had a Commodore PET as well that I played with, and an Atari 400, I think, with a tape drive. I had one of those. Good to make contact with Gaston mechanic says, good to make contact with you. I can repair cars on systems, on domestic and Asian cars, work weak on Euro cars. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much, I just repair the cars that I have and figure them out, and for family cars as well. Um, Usually, I'm not one of those guys that's like got the $10,000 Pico scope in a box and is going to go through all that. I'll try to narrow it down as much as I can, but at the end of the day, I might occasionally buy a sensor that doesn't work. It doesn't fix the problem. It's still a lot cheaper than the $10,000 Pico scope. You know, um, yeah, the 2400 baud modem. So my first modem was 300 baud on my Commodore, and then I remember saving up my money for like a year from cutting grass to buy a 1200 baud modem. Ham radio it can be digital, so but ham radio really it can start out as analog, and a lot of it still is. But there are digital communications on ham radios more and more these days. More digital radios, D-Star, ICOM has their D-Star and stuff out. But yeah, I mean, it's everything from like repeaters running on VHF and UHF that you just talk across town on. Some of those repeaters are connected to the internet, and you can talk all over the world to another repeater. And then we also can go into the HF frequencies and bounce signals around the world through the ionosphere, depending on the sunspots, what band you're going to use. And you can also bounce a signal off the moon and come down off the other side of the planet. So ham radio spans a wide, vast area. I am just a technician. I never got my Morse code done, and I really just like playing around in the VHF and UHF and playing around on repeaters. I've built a couple of repeaters. One of them I think is still maybe up and running. I'm not sure. I have to check with the person's tower that it's on. Hey, Eric. Kenny Stanford. I call him Eric. And America Burning asks, am I in Ohio? Yep, I am in Ohio, and I am in the general Dayton area. So I'm actually in Springfield, so I'm not too far away. But, Gaston's asking what other cars I have in the family fleet. So, of course, I got the 2002 PT Cruiser. I've got the 2002 F-150. I've got a 99 Pontiac Grand Am with a 4-banger. And I got a 2004 Hyundai Elantra. And for a minute, I had a Chevy Venture van, but it lost a rod. I did heads on it, and then the rod started knocking. So it went to the junkyard. Oh, America Burning says he's in Springfield too. That's cool. Yeah, I meet people around Springfield. It's happening more and more. Like the lady I went to, I think, go get potatoes from last year recognized me. Like, aren't you on YouTube? So I guess more and more people kind of see where are watching my channel. I guess since I'm doing a lot of prepping related stuff, I tend to run into them. Gaston says, I've got a 97 Corolla 1.8 liter with 239,000 miles. Owned since 2008 at 120,000 miles. Original transmission and AC blows ice cold, just normal maintenance. Yeah, that's like the Pontiac right now needs a timing chain. I got to fix the AC in it. Truck, I think, needs a transmission, but it made it over 300,000 miles. I bought it new in 2002. PT Cruiser's working. Well, it's leaking oil again. I got to replace the oil sending unit. It's leaking now, but it's not that bad. So yeah, the Hyundai just keeps on running and running, man. It just I don't think that thing's ever failed to start when I've turned the key. My wife bought that new in 2004, so it's starting to rust out though. It won't be too much longer for this world before it rusts through. You know. Oh, it says my name is Skyla Edwards. Okay, or her name, I guess. I guess it's a her, but Skyla. Okay. Um, Hamfest was in Xenia this year. Yes, it was. And I had some people sending me some pictures. I thought about going. I was busy with the plumbing falling apart here, trying to get that all taken care of. Because I replaced the main water valve because it was leaking the main shutoff valve. The water company had to come turn it off, turn it back on. This was Friday. I took the day off work. And then I got the bright idea to tear out this old like shower thing that they would have someone have built in the basement and replace it with a laundry tub, and it just turned into a plumbing nightmare. And so I was too busy to go, and it looked like it was all out in grassy fields for the vendors, and it looked like it turned into a mud pit when it rained. And there was no parking. Really, there was no shuttle service like there used to be at Hera. I just decided to skip it, and I'm going to ask all my friends how it was and see if I'm going next year. So, oh, Kilman says he saw me at the Hera Arena BG show the other. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't been to a gun show in a while. I did just get a Diamondback DB9 though. I haven't got to shoot it yet. But I was at a local gun shop on my lunch hour and saw it, and it was a good deal, so I picked it up. Uh, let's see. Yeah, Gaston Mechanic says maintenance is to keep address any problems immediately. I think he's saying it's the key to in addressing problems immediately. So yeah, except for my truck. My truck has always been road hard, put away wet. It made over 400,000 miles. Nothing more serious than alternator, brakes, and tires. And I just replaced a broken brake line on it not long ago that rusted out. It's always started and ran and been great. And I went 40,000 miles one time without changing the oil, and it turned to sludge, and I lost all my oil pressure, and I just stopped. I was in Cincinnati. I stopped and dumped a few quarts of oil in it and drove it home, and it's still running. And that was like 200,000 miles ago at least. So that it's got that 4.2 liter in it, man. The thing just runs and runs and runs. So, and America Burning says me too, a little 380. You got the Diamondback 380. I got the 9mm. I haven't got to shoot it yet. I've got a little Taurus 380, but I like the Diamondback in the 9 because it gets me up to a 9. It's still a nice small pocket gun. But I'm curious to see if I can make that gun cycle one-handed, or if it's going to be a Phuematic one-handed. Yeah, so the last show he went to is Hera Arena. Yeah, I think they got a bigger gun show here in Springfield now, but I haven't been there. I kind of miss Hera. I've been to so many events there over the years. It sucks that it shut down. It's like it's not Hamvention without it being Hera. I'm so glad I went to Hamvention last year, though. I got to experience the last Hamvention at Hera. So, but it was really falling apart when I was there. It's like falling over. No, prepping wasn't really always part of my life. Although I grew up pretty poor. I mean, not like indigent poor, but I was one of three children, and well, I guess I'll say one of four. But my brother died at a very young age before I ever knew him. I wasn't born yet, so and for the first part of my childhood, only my father worked, and my mother stayed at home, and then she eventually became a cook in the kitchens at the schools. But we just never had a lot of money, and so we were always picking raspberries and canning. Dad always kept everything put back in the garage in case he could use it. So we kind of had to learn to live very frugally and learn how to prepare and put things back. And so I guess that part of it, just being prepared for bad things that might happen when you don't have any money has kind of been with me always. But I went through a real bad time when I had my retail computer store, and I had a bad partner that was owed me a lot of money. It was going really bad, and there was just some times there where like we couldn't afford groceries. I was waiting on a customer to send me a check or something, and I had to hit the food pantry a couple of times. And I decided at that point that I'm never going to be in that situation again. So that's when I started building up food storage and canning and putting stuff back. And I just like to be prepared for everyday life. It's not so much that I think the end of the world's going to come, but power outages happen, natural disasters happen, um, economic collapse happens, war happens. So these are things that can happen and have happened before. Famine, big giant dust bowls that cause crop failures. These are all, or dust storms, I should say. That these are all things that have happened in the not too distant past. So if you're kind of prepared for everyday life things, having extra food on hand and that kind of stuff, then you can kind of be prepared when something really bad happens too. Um, yeah, local. I'm always willing to work with other local preppers. I always tell people like, people will ask, like, I've been asked the question, like, well, what are you going to do if somebody's in your garden stealing your food after the shit hits the fan? Are you going to shoot them and kill them? Or, and so the truth is that there are, there's a reason that I would shoot and kill somebody today. And that's as an absolute last resort. If there was no other option, I really would not want to shoot somebody, but if there was no other option to save my life or my immediate family's life, I would do it. Right? I would do it to defend my life or serious threat of serious bodily harm, like traumatic brain injury, loss of limb. So when would I do that in an SHTF situation? Well, it would be the exact same thing, right? If there's a serious threat to my life. The difference is in an SHTF situation, if you're been starving to death for months and you've got, your son's got days left to live and somebody comes to steal your food because you're all starving to death, what little you have, then that's an immediate threat to your life at that point, right? Where if somebody came to steal my food today, it's no big deal. I would go to the grocery store and buy more. So, things in an SHTF situation can be fatal. Um, in a much different way than they are when there's not an SHTF situation. But yeah, the use of lethal force would be to defend your life in that situation as it would be in any other. So, I guess I probably kind of went off on a tangent there. Springfield Gun Show is about half the size of Goodman's. Okay. Well, Goodman's got pretty small there at the ends. I remember when Goodman's used to take up like the whole, like the majority of the inside of Hera, and then it was down to like one little room there. Back in the day, man, I remember you could buy like a case of 1,000 7.62 by 39 for like $80. I remember my friend bought an SKS there, and I think it was $79 for a Chinese SKS. I wish I would have bought more back then. Yeah, so Gaston, I change my oil pretty much every 3,000 miles. Sometimes I might go 4 or 5. Um, I like to use OEM oil filters, and I usually use a cheap ILSEC certified oil. So I normally use I've been using the Harvest King, which is like the ILSAC 5 certification, but I'd rather use a cheaper oil and then just change it more often. I like to keep the oil clean. Um, I know that the synthetics can be great, but they're really expensive, and I still like just keeping the carbon and keeping the oil clean and clear. um, Ballroom Marine at the North Hall at one time. The Soviet SKS was $69. That's awesome. Man, I wish I would have just been like, I'll take 5 cases, please, and just put them away. It's like you could sell them for so much more now. I would love to go back to them days when SKSs were cheap. Hey, maybe Trump will open up the imports again and they'll be cheap again. You never know. Yeah, let's get that kind of a deal. The 9130s. Yeah, yeah. The Mosins and stuff were real cheap. Let's see. I got a Turk Mauser and a Mosin Nagant at an old gun show years and years ago, and I think I paid $39 a piece for them. They weren't matching serials, but they were fireable guns. I've since sold those. I traded them in on something else. I had an Italian Carcano 6.5 millimeter once too, and you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that gun. I don't know if it was somebody said like the ammo that they reload for them these days is actually the wrong size or something. I traded that thing in, and I got more than I paid for it. It was awesome. Traded that in when I bought my little NAA 22. So yeah, like I had my solar up and running. America Burning asked, "Do I have any solar power for backup?" I have my solar up and running at my old house. At this house, I haven't put them up yet. I have the solar panels, power inverter, charge controller, all that kind of stuff, and some deep cycle batteries, so I could put up some solar if I needed to. I just haven't done it yet. I'd like to get it set up like I had it before, where I'm using that for some of my internal lighting. But yeah, it's out in the garage. It's not a real big setup. I got a couple of 120 watts. I think they're Mitsubishi panels or something, some kind of Japanese panels. And then I got like a cheap charge controller on eBay and some deep cycle batteries and some heavy gauge cable. And I think I just got like an 800 watt power inverter. It's not a great big one, but it's enough to get some stuff done if I had no power. And then I've got 3 generators, a little 2-cycle like Harbor Freight one, 4-cycle one that's 1250 watts, and then I've got a 5000 watt with a big Briggs on it. I think I answered the panels. I don't know what their physical size is, but they're like 120 watt polycrystalline panels. I bought them on eBay from a solar farm that was being upgraded, and they were selling off the old panels, and they still have about another 12 years of warranty left on them. So I think everybody is going to bed at my house. The lights are going out, and it got quiet. So I think I'm probably going to have to hop off of here. D31, what's up, Dave? Yeah, he says he needs an extra generator. I got the I traded an air conditioner for the small one. I bought the medium-sized one, and then I gave $100 for the bigger one. And somebody had like taken the fuel pump off of it and messed up the idle, and then said it wasn't making any power, but that's because it wasn't running fast enough. I had to get it up to the 3600 RPMs and it started making juice. So I think that thing's like 5,000 or 5,500 watts. But I like having the smaller generators. The 2-cycle takes a lot of gas. 4 or 5 hours is it. That 4-cycle, man, that thing will just run forever on a tank of gas. Of course, they're different size tanks, but That 5500 watt one, man, that thing sucks gas. Even under a low load, it's just sucking gas. So I like having the smaller ones. You mean what's down? I'm down to 285. Yeah, that's awesome, Dave. That's it's 100 pounds less than I am right now. So yeah, I got to do something soon. I mean, it's coming off a few pounds at a time, but yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can lose more weight quicker. The blood pressure and the diabetes just gets worse. Oh, American Burning says he has a Generac 4500 watt that was sitting outside, brand new. Got it for 50. He says I bought it because I have the exact same one. Got it running, but I think the coil is messed up or something. So you think like the coil, the magneto on the engine's messed up? Well, I guess you got it running, but is it not making juice? It depends on. I mean, in the generator head, there's sometimes some diodes, a rectifier. They got to be spinning at least 3,600 RPM to make electricity. Um, some stuff, maybe there to look at. If someone came to you and offered you a place and position in a luxury bunker compound, but the catch was you can only bring your immediate family and you couldn't tell anyone else, would you do it? Well, yeah. I mean, unless they want money or something. Is it free? I'll always take a luxury bunker compound that I can bring my immediate family to. Um, Look, I mean, I love my sisters and my mother and everybody else, but my first duty is to protect my child and my children and my wife. Yeah, I got a friend that got the gastric sleeve, and then they had to deflate it because it started messing up or something. And so he's started to put the weight back on again. Good to talk to you too, America Burning. Yeah, I just don't know that I want to have surgery. I might. I'm just yeah. I I work in the medical profession, and it makes me want to avoid medical people as much as possible, especially surgeries. Just not that I think anything's going to go wrong. I don't know. I just don't really want to have surgery. I got the colonoscopy done. That should be enough, and the upper endoscopy because colon cancer and stuff runs in my family. So I finally got that done. Do Arsenal switch is for people with no willpower. I have no idea what an Arsenal switch is. I'll have to look that up and Google it. It's not really that I don't have the willpower. The problem that I'm at now is trying to balance the amount of insulin I need to keep my blood sugar controlled and the amount of food that I take. And you can reduce your calories to a point, but you have to keep them at a certain level for planning out. I have to plan out my bolus and my basal insulin doses, and I have to have a sliding scale and all this, and and so trying to keep the blood sugar numbers just right and taking that much insulin makes it really hard to lose the weight. And it's one of those things I do. I'm a few pounds lighter every time I go to see the doctor. So I didn't put this all on in one, in 1 year or whatever, and I'm not going to take it all off in 1 year. Um, and doctors never believe you. Doctors think that you sit at home and watch TV and eat potato chips, and I haven't plugged my TV in forever. Yeah, I mean, I might eat some chips now and then, but I try to stay away from that stuff. I'm usually outside working on something. I'm getting ready to get the sleep apnea test here in June because my cardiologist wants me to have it. I think I sleep fine. I don't know. We'll see. Same probe used for both. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure what the Ardenal switch is, but I'll look it up. Yeah, I'm sure that I have lost weight before on Atkins, but it was before I was diabetic. Um, I could probably try to do that again, but it's really weird. If I don't eat anything, my blood sugar will go crazy, um, because my body starts metabolizing the fat and turning it into sugar, and I don't have enough insulin to control it. So I have to eat something, and it has to be some carbs. So I can't really do a pure Atkins diet. Gas mechanics said good, keep the oil changes coming. I had to put an engine in the other week on a Toyota Land Cruiser due to low engine oil. I told the owner to check oil, but he didn't. Also, baseline coolant calls. Yeah, so many people don't check their oil ever. It's crazy. So throw out those damn cigarettes. Cannabis is safer. Yeah, I'm not going to be smoking cannabis. Just I no doubt that it's probably safer, um, but it just is completely demotivating. I will have no will to do anything at all. I haven't smoked it in a long, long time. Definitely is not for me. I generally just try to stay off of anything like that anymore. I don't drink alcohol either. Maybe an occasional beer, but not even really that anymore. Used old engine on 10 hours, book time 20 hours. Yeah, that's good. I mean, my friend who is a mechanic, he does like heavy line work like all day long, engines and transmissions, and it's amazing. He helped me put an engine in a Buick LeSabre that I had, man, and it was like in and out, or out and in a few hours. It's like he gets crazy good at doing that stuff, or he is crazy good at doing it. Of course, he's been doing it for as long as I've been working on computers. So he's the one that I bought him an Astro Pneumatic Impact Wrench for helping me with my Hyundai a while back, putting a subframe and stuff in it. He let me use the lift, and he loves that thing, man. He beats it to death, and he takes it. All right, well, it's 10:30, so I got to get to bed. It's been great chatting with you. I'm going to do some more live streams in the future. I really just intended this to be like a real quick giveaway live stream only, but it's been fun chatting. I'm going to throw up a video on the tiller. Got that all running, and did a little video of it running. So look for that to be coming out here soon. And yeah, Dave, I hear you on the cannabis, but it's not going to be for me. It's just not. I just can't go back down the cannabis road ever again. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Tom, Frugal Prepper, and everybody have a good night.